Hey guys, TexAgs Rewind, Richard Zane, Nick Savage. A little busy in the studio with doing a podcast and whatnot. No intro, outro. This is it. We had Stephen McGee on the show, Andrew Monaco. Always good to have in. Logan debated Duncan versus Hakeem Olajuwon. I don't know. They got into it, him and Nuno. And then Sub-Zero, breaking news. He's back. We're going to talk about that. Here's the rewind.
Well, to me, it's the Cowboys' offensive coordinator situation. You fire, to me, Kellen Moore, whether you love him or not, their offense was productive, right? I mean, OB can probably tell us in more detail, but so you fire him, and I'm fine with it if you say, hey, we need some type of change to spark Dak Prescott, get him going, and you have this really good coordinator option in the waiting. But then you go and you name Mike McCarthy. And he's going to switch the system back to the West Coast system from the Don Coryell system, which I'm sure Kellen was using because he was under the Garrett system. And so now you've got a whole new terminology. I just don't see this working out. I think that's bull crap. There's got to be a better option than Mike McCarthy.
OB?
That's not bull crap what he just said. All that I agree with 100%. I'm not saying I love Kellen Moore, but I sure hate Mike McCarthy. And I think he's unfit for the job. Here's what I think is bull crap. And it's two ways on Micah Parsons. First of all, I think it's bull crap that he's getting
flack
for saying that, hey, he's telling Lane Johnson for the Eagles, hey, go win the Super Bowl for the division. He's from Pennsylvania. So I get he probably would like to see the Eagles win. He went to Penn State. I think he's from the Philadelphia area or Harrisburg.
Okay.
So I get that. But the bull crap that comes back on him is then he goes off calling people losers and all this for wanting other people to fail. Fans don't like Cowboy fans don't like the Eagles. Mm-hmm. There's no team in the NFL that I'd rather see lose than the Philadelphia Eagles. I wish all kinds of misery on all things Philadelphia. So you as a player got to understand that too. It doesn't make people losers just because they don't want the Eagles to win. Now, I get it. It's bullcrap that they're going to attack you for saying something,
It's a double bullcrap.
It's a double bullcrap. They're slinging bullcrap back and forth.
Bullcrap squared.
It's
Caca de Toro. Hey, amen. Everyone does hate the Eagles. It's a universal hate toward Philadelphia. And they have the worst fans. They deserve it.
As a broadcaster, is it difficult to not think about the tournament? Like, they got to do this to get there? Or is it part of just the storyline?
It's part of the storyline, but it comes at the end of the story. Like, to be with a team, and that's the fun part of being with teams, is to see how they evolve over the course of a season. And I'm really enjoying how this team is evolving and how they're playing. I hope that they make everything moot. that they're going to be in because of the way they play the rest of the SEC season.
Right.
I'm like everyone else, though. I'm not going to lie. Man, that's a really good game. You circle that. I can't wait to go, and see that matchup. But more than anything, it's the patience. To me, it's kind of like looking at things long term. It's not a snapshot of every single game and getting too high or too low that way, but watching how this team has evolved. And, I don't know if the committee thinks about things like this, but this last run has been without Manny Obaseki.
Right.
And without Solomon Washington. Solo came back, which is great to have him back. And that game in Arkansas, Dexter Dennis has that finger wrapped. Mm-hmm. I think they're all considerations that we see. I'm not sure everybody else sees outside, but how important they are. And I'm excited that we're going to be able to fold them back and have the complete team. But that was my biggest thing is I thought the committee last year looked at just the snapshot of the 8-game losing streak and forgot the entire part. They forgot the 4 wins to start the conference. They forgot how they ended. They ignored the run through the SEC tournament. That's what bothered me, because if you looked all of last year, they belonged. If you look this year and how they are, the metamorphosis, as Buzz says, do they belong? Yes, I do, but there's still February and March to go.
Yeah, you have a long way to go.
Yeah.
So this may be an unfair question, but I'll see if I can phrase it the right way. To me, Boots is the Q of this year's team. But who has been the best player for A&M this year, but who's been the most consistent player? Because they might be the same, they might be different.
Wow.
So many different guys step up.
Wade comes to mind. It's funny you ask that because I asked the players this. If you take one player away from the Aggies, I don't think that's the way they're built. I really don't. You can play other teams, take their leading scorer away, take KJ Williams away from LSU. The way this defense is, keep the ball out of his hands, not take him away. Same thing with Castleton in Florida. Mm-hmm. We've seen that. Then I think those teams struggle. Who's two? Who has to assume the number one scoring role, number three? With the Aggies, you take one away. I think they're built collectively.
Who would you rather have at their peak, Tim Duncan or Hakeem Olajuwon?
Ooh,
you're a San Antonio guy, so I expect you to say Tim. I think there's no question Hakeem Olajuwon, but I understand why somebody would pick Tim Duncan.
I don't know. That's tough.
Who's the better scorer? Dream.
I don't know. Maybe one-on-one?
He's the better scorer. It's not even a conversation.
Look, you see, this is what happens.
He's a better scorer.
This is what happens with people like you.
Tim Duncan
with people
won more
like
championships.
You ask a question and then you don't even give me time to say, that's a hard question to answer because there are two ways you could go about this.
I apologize.
We're at 40 seconds.
Tell me why is Hakeem Olajuwon?
Because of the Dream Shake. Because he has so many one-on-one moves. I mean, he completely dominated David Robinson in whatever playoff series it
1995,
was, and it hurt me,
and it made me a better man.
But you have Duncan, who is the best power forward ever.
Yeah, but they're both 6'10".
That can. What does it matter?
I'm just saying. I just want to make sure it's out loud.
That can hit the side of the backboard from any angle and make it go in.
Amazing player, winner.
I don't understand. I don't understand why you think that it's a
Dream's
no-brainer.
a better scorer, though. It is a no.
But you didn't say a better.
No, I just did.
Was it better score?
Better score. Yeah, Dream.
I don't know though because
everybody knows.
Duncan was so fundamental. He could score on anybody in any place.
Yeah, but he didn't.
He did.
How
did he not?
Not like Dream.
What do you mean?
Dream consistently in the 30s. Duncan consistently in 19.
Because he didn't have to.
Well, there's that.
Dream was playing for a crap team.
I mean, they won 2 championships.
Because Jordan wasn't playing. Oh, that hurts, huh?
Jordan did play in 95. I'm sorry that he wasn't up to your liking.
Hurt, huh?
No, it didn't hurt at all because he played. I'm sorry. I saw him lose.
Nick
Anderson.
I'm sorry that Duncan was the best team Duncan held down the best team for a decade.
I think Duncan absolutely. There is an argument to be made both sides, but I do think Dream's a better scorer.
I mean, that's your opinion, and I'm okay with your opinion, but we're allowed to disagree.
Yeah. And I think Dream was a better defensive player.
4 touchdowns in 2 years against Alabama. Not many guys in this sport can say that. And my God, how much would we have liked to have had him on that one play from the 2-yard line? And it might have been 5 touchdowns in 3 games against Bama and back-to-back wins. That's how good he is. This is a guy that can play running back. He can play receiver. He can return punts. He can can do whatever you ask him to do. He practiced at cornerback. I believe it was it this year or last? It was last year in 2021. He practiced at corner when they were very thin and needed help there. And he not only practiced there, but he said he'd play if he needed to. And he moved to running back, having never played there prior to the Texas Bowl back his freshman year, and might have been A&M's best offensive player that day. Probably was. Best offensive player in a bowl game victory, blocking, catching the ball, running. Man, getting him back, Nuno, is so important on so many levels. I don't even know where to begin, but I'll begin with just the stability and the leadership and the fact that the kid going back, I say kid, he's growing up. We've watched him grow up, but going back to high school, at Dulles High School, and even kids in that area that knew him before that, he's just a winner. He's the guy you pick first on your team.
Yep.
When we all know that guy, that kid when he was 8 years old.
I want him.
You pick him first. Everybody does. When he's in high school, you pick him first, and the coach says, go play offense, defense, and special teams. He gets to A&M, high-end SEC level, highest level of college football. He not only plays different positions in a pinch. He does everything still, and that's the kind of player he is. Earlier in the year, I had NFL guys texting me about him, asking me about him. And then he got hurt, and I think he was going to be drafted pretty low because of the injury and not being able to work out. So maybe 5th, 6th round. To me, here's a guy that could go much, much higher. And normally, it's not quite like that. Normally, you come back for a lot of other reasons, and maybe you can creep up a little bit in the draft. This is an instance where Ainias come back, play healthy, be a part of a Bobby Petrino offense that's maybe a little more wide open with Connor Wigman at quarterback. This is a guy that could see his draft stock jump significantly as well.
I think one of the best things you said there, Billy, too, is he enhances 2 position groups because now you have experience coming back at running back. Not that his main position, but he can. And also, obviously, what he does for the wide receiver room. And just what he does for the entire culture of that locker room.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like, comment, subscribe, do all the stuff, share. Tune in tomorrow for more Nia Smith Breakdown radio show and rewind. Thanks, guys. Bye.